Hi everyone. So when it comes to reviewing phones, you find out that there are many options out there, especially if you do want some budget or mid-range phones. Well, today we have a budget entry. It's the Poco M4 5G. Now, I know there was already a version of this in India, but this is of course the global edition when it comes to the Poco M4 5G. Now, let's talk about it in this short review of it. So to begin with, let's start with reality. When it comes to phones like this, it's not gonna be the best experience. You are paying for a price that is quite a bit lower than some mid-range or high-end phones. So don't expect too much when it comes to phones like this. This is something that I clearly want to note when it comes to a phone that just simply costs around 200 or even below that. It really depends on what your needs are. And depending on your needs, this can actually be quite an excellent device. So let's discuss the main things. Let's start with specifications. So the Poco M4 5G comes with a 6.58-inch display. It's an LCD display with 90 Hz and a max brightness of 500 nits. The CPU is a Dimensity 700. You either have 64 or 128 GB of memory, which you can expand via the microSD. You know, funny how a phone around this price has those features. And then of course when it comes to RAM, you either have 4 GB or 6 GB of RAM. Just for clarity, my version has 128 GB of internal memory and 6 GB of RAM. The main sensor is a 13 megapixel sensor with of course max video recording at 1080p and 30 frames per second. The second camera is a 2 megapixel macro. Yeah, so we're gonna not mention that one anymore. When it comes to the battery, it's a 5000 mAh battery and of course it charges at 18 watt. The charger itself is included of course with the phone itself. When it comes to the front facing camera, it's a 5 megapixel sensor and here again it's 1080p and 30 frames per second in terms of video. When it comes to unlocking your phone, you either have the side fingerprint scanner or of course your face unlock as well. And in terms of colors, it's either black, blue or yellow. Now I want to continue this video with the approach of for who is this phone? Which person would want a phone like this? Well, one, a person that wants actually a 3.5mm headphone jack, a charger included, and of course micro SD support, which funny enough again, high-end phones seemingly don't have anymore, so you're getting more for less. Huh, funny how that works. But let's get back to topic, because if I start talking about that, I can went on forever. Either way, when it comes to the Poco M4 5G, there are definitely things to like and definitely things that you have to note about the device. For instance, if you want a phone with great battery life, the Poco M4 5G is definitely a phone for that. It lasts really long and can easily make it till the end of the day, if not 2 days. Really depends on my use though. When it comes to the overall quality of the phone, of course it's going to be a plastic phone, but because of the texture on the back, it does feel quite comfortable in the hand. However, I still prefer a rounded frame itself. That would have been much nicer in terms of course, holding a phone like this. Having these flat edges for myself isn't the best. Round shapes just fit better in that. Either way, when it comes to the display, for instance, I feel like there you will notice that you are talking about a phone that costs a little bit less. For instance, outside with 500 nits, you can tell with the brightness it isn't the brightest out there. Now, when it comes to a phone around this price, you are probably also wondering about gaming performance as well. Now, I'm gonna say it's not going to be the best in terms of performance for gaming itself. It's going to be able to play games like PUBG, but it's not going to be able to play the heavy graphic games. It's just not going to be able to. Not to mention that, of course, on a display like this, it's not going to look the best compared to, of course, a high-end or a proper mid-range with an AMOLED display. But when it comes to a phone like this, if you want to play simple games or games like PUBG, yeah, it definitely can handle that properly without an issue. And again, in terms of battery life, it does that really well, so you can play that game for quite a long time. And it doesn't have trouble heating up, for instance. But here, there's something to note again as well. For instance, the Poco M4 5G doesn't come with dual speakers. And you can definitely tell that there is a huge difference in audio performance. Not only is there not a front-facing speaker firing at you, which makes it easy if you are playing a game to have that audio coming towards you. I'm going to try to replicate what I'm hearing, but it's always harder to showcase that when it comes to just recording instead of hearing it directly for yourself. And then of course we come to the camera as well. Now, as stated, there's a 30 megapixel main sensor and then we have a 2 megapixel macro sensor. Now, I will have to say, by the way, before we start reviewing the camera itself, I really do like the design itself. I think they've done an excellent job when it comes to the design itself. It somewhat reminds me of what Google does with their Pixel series. Either way, I do like it and I think they've done an excellent job in terms of design itself. I feel like it works really well. With that being said, let's just talk about the camera itself. It's again not going to be amazing. It's not going to be bad by any means. In daytime, you can take some good shots with the Poco M4 5G. Honestly, there isn't an issue if you want to simply capture the moment. It works well enough. Again though, I really want to bring it home that it's not going to be somewhat comparable to a phone that is $300 or $400. This simply doesn't fall under the category, so you need to be aware that the camera is going to be fine in daytime. It's just not going to be amazing. But I will show you some examples so you can judge for yourself as well.
Alright, so recording 1080p, 30 frames per second. Of course, simply handheld.
So, the Poco M4 5G, at the end, in this short review, as stated, what do I think about it? I think for the price itself, or the rumored price, it's going to be an excellent device for someone who wants a phone that has great battery life, can play some games and sometimes just randomly shoot some pictures. Therefore, for those people, I think it's a fine device. It's not going to be for people who want the best display. I think, for instance, the Poco M4 Pro does that better with that beautiful AMOLED display for the price itself. And it's not going to be the best for those who want to capture beautiful shots. Again, it's not going to be bad on the Poco M4 5G, but there are others out there that will shoot a better image compared to, of course, the Poco M4 5G. Either way, let me know what you think about the Poco M4 5G. What do you want to know in the comments below? Because it's always something where you feel like I might not be able to answer that question because I don't think about it for myself. So in the comments below, ask me questions about what you want to know about the device itself, and I will reply to you talking about said subject that you want to know about. But yes, that's the Poco M4 5G. Again, let me know what you think about it. And by the way, again, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe, hit like, hit the bell icon, and of course, comment below and so on. Anyway, talk to you guys in the next.